relaxed, if not dangerously feckless. And you might think that my touchy is the most normal-looking one, since he seems to be worried about something and has a sensible parting. There's really nothing much we can do about this madness of his, except perhaps to muse that a comedy double act where both partners were agreed on what normal looks like would be rather dull. I won't name names. And one where the partners placed normal more than one space apart wouldn't last very long. Heard of Barkman and Holness? I thought not. Perhaps it wouldn't be too mad to apply this humble diagram to the field of political extremism. For example, if we wanted to draw a box that could adequately contain the figure of Adolf Hitler, we would put it to the left of psychotically brittle, and then just draw an angry ink splodge made by a broken nib and call it murderously resentful. But then we wouldn't be able to say that Hitler's madness was off the scale, so let's leave it as it is. To Hitler, being murderously resentful was the only normal reaction to the condition of Germany in the 1920s. But he could never have become Chancellor of Germany merely by counting on the support of the psychotically brittle. For that, he needed the languid, too. Similarly, you probably need to be a massive arsehole to be a member of the British National Party, but only a dozy bastard to vote for them. The way to cope with being normal, then, is to recognise that everyone else thinks you're mad, but they're wrong. Unless you are Adolf Hitler or Nick Griffin, in which case they have a point.
How to cope with pubs. There should be no problem coping with pubs. After all, it's a simple idea. They're where we go to make life slow down, to get our daily hit of some chemicals that may very well eventually make it stop. Life's too short, people often say. I'm sure it feels like it when you're staring death in the face in heart disease-ridden late middle age, when you're regretting all the pints and bacon sandwiches that have clogged your system and made irreplaceable parts of your innards founder. But even if it is, the evenings, almost anyone must surely admit, are too long. Pubs solve that. They make time go away without having to watch EastEnders. This is nothing to be proud of, but it is necessary. That's why pubs were built in such a functional way. Counters to buy the booze over, and floors that you can easily clean sick off. It was never a trendy thing. There's no reason to be smug that you're there. You're not hanging out or being seen. You get in, nail a pint every half an hour, and leave when they chuck you out. Lovely. This is a place that helps you cope, not one you have to cope with. Until recently. Pubs have changed. They've smartened themselves up. They do food and cocktails. They've got late licenses so you can't pace your drinking anymore. You're heading for an 11 p.m. finish line and someone moves it 2 hours further away at the crucial moment. You end up shouting about the editorial policy of the Daily Mail and accidentally knocking someone's pint of prawns into their mojito. And some pubs are now restaurants, really, not labelled as such, but they won't really cope if you sit there next to the knife, fork and tiny dish of rock salt, downing pint after pint of Stella and not ordering so much as a sharing plate of hummus. The pharmacy has gone gastro. The cumulative effect of the thousands of pubs that have changed in this way on the nervous and sober is incalculable. Suddenly, the moment of walking in is a lifestyle choice, like with a hairdresser's or a shoe shop, the very encounters so many of us drink to forget. The stylishness of the menu, furniture, and other customers are all intensely threatening. The lighting is so cool, it makes you afraid it's got a special ultraviolet quality that will reveal the word loser written in semen on your trousers. Don't misunderstand me, I've never been a fan of the extreme version of the old man's pub. These have always been as frightening to go into as the trendiest gastro bar. Smoky, when that was allowed, sticky with spilt liquor, and echoing with emphysema. You're judged just as harshly when you walk into one of those. Ask for a white wine there, and you'd better be a woman. At least in trendy pubs, a beer is still as acceptable an order as a cocktail, although you may have to wait 20 minutes for it while the mixologist painstakingly makes cosmopolitans for girls. A perfect opportunity to get talking to them, some might say. Not me. I don't go to pubs to meet new people, but to rehearse old opinions with cronies. Going to bars to meet girls is what Americans do. American men and American lesbians. Amesbians. It seems to make them very happy. That's another reason I need a drink. I realise I'm now sounding like one of the prejudiced old bastards from the old man's pubs, spouting bile and coughing up phlegm, and I suppose that's where I'll end up. But I'm not ready yet. I realised this in an old man's pub in Kilburn, where I and a few of my friends had gained a measure of acceptance. The regulars had stopped staring when we came in, and not just because they'd succumbed to cataracts, and the barman even said hello. It was a bit brightly lit, but there was always a free seat. Indeed, after every winter, a few more. They sold crisps, the lager wasn't cloudy, and the roof didn't leak. It was really ticking all the boxes.